as Braytec's system faltered in real time during a crucial government contract evaluation. CEO Ethan Bray found himself paralyzed. Their highly paid engineers were at a loss for solutions. Panic surged uncontrollably. Onlookers were gripped by dread as news crews arrived on the scene. As the tumult faded into quietude, Leela Jennings, the janitor's daughter, emerged from the shadows. With grease on her hands and determination in her eyes, she murmured, "I believe I can repair it." The events that followed sent shockwaves throughout the entire industry. Before we dive in, please give this video a thumbs up and share your location in the comments. Your support enables us to share more impactful narratives. Let us commence. The crimson warning lights cast an unsettling radiance on the glass walls of Braytec Digital, while the shrill alarms echoed throughout the structure. Within the polished confines of the Silicon Valley headquarters, the atmosphere was charged with palpable tension. Strings of code zipped across screens at a pace too swift for the eye to follow. A wave of panic swept through each department in succession. What was once unimaginable had come to pass. Braytec's fundamental security system, relied upon by government entities and Fortune 500 firms, experienced a failure in real time during a live federal performance audit. CEO Ethan Bray remained motionless at the heart of the operations floor. At 49, clad in a steel gray suit, and infamous for dismissing executives during meetings, Ethan was a figure who rarely succumbed to panic. Yet now his complexion had turned ashen. His hands tightened into fists. Each screen in the room illuminated a single, relentless word: setback. The entire infrastructure of the company was down. Databases encrypted, firewalls secured, internal messaging systems entirely disabled. "Reveal the origin of the breach," Ethan demanded, his voice quaking just below the surface. At this moment, a symphony of bewildered voices resonated in the atmosphere. "We are unable to locate it, sir. It circumvented all 3 of our encryption layers. There isn't an external IP available. It seems to have originated from deep inside." A chill swept across the room with those words. If the system had been infiltrated from within, Braytec would not only risk losing government contracts, but the company could also find itself facing accusations of internal espionage. Stock prices were in freefall, and social media was ablaze with activity. "All hands on deck in the war room, now," Ethan barked, striding purposefully toward the glass conference room, while the leading engineers and department heads hurried after him. The quiet creak of the side door opening at the back of the office went unnoticed. Leela Jennings entered the room softly, her fingers gripping the frayed straps of an old leather backpack. Her flowing auburn locks were gathered into a carefree bun. She donned black cargo pants, scuffed boots, and a faded hoodie emblazoned with the words, "Property of Tech Valley High Robotics Club" on the front. Her hands bore the marks of hard work, stained with grease, while a smudge of dust adorned her cheek. She appeared utterly mismatched in the frigid, glass and steel surroundings of Braytec. She had merely arrived to see her father, Robert Jennings, the night janitor of the company, who had left his lunch behind in the storage room. Yet, as she entered the turmoil and beheld the frightened expressions, the crimson displays, and the shattered code, a realization dawned upon her. Puzzles had always captured her heart. Her gaze flitted around the room. She required neither access, badges nor a security key to grasp the events that had unfolded. She observed the reasoning revealing itself through the screens. A recursive virus was unleashed, cycling through the system's backup protocols, consuming itself like a digital parasite. It was more than mere malice. It was exceptional. This was crafted with a deep understanding of Braytec's architecture. However, they had committed a single error. They believed that no one beyond the confines of the company could outpace the machine's speed of thought. Leela stepped forward with purpose. A junior technician glanced at her, his eyebrow arching in curiosity. "May I inquire about your identity?" he inquired. She cast a quick look at his badge. "DevOps. Excellent. You are authorized to access the command line. I must separate the recursive string on node 4B prior to its next doubling." His jaw dropped in astonishment. "Excuse me, who exactly are you?" Leela introduced herself with a serene tone. "I am here to resolve this issue." The atmosphere grew still. In that fleeting instant, stillness enveloped the scene. The whole operation floor was still. As if time had come to a halt, the engineers gazed at the young woman, who had entered without warning, speaking with a clarity and confidence that surpassed what most of them had achieved throughout the morning. Leela Jennings appeared anything but a savior. Yet there was an undeniable quality in her gaze, calm, focused, and oddly unperturbed, that disrupted the turmoil surrounding her. She was certain, she was fully aware of her actions. The young technician, she had conversed with Evan, cast a wary look at the terminal before shifting his gaze back to her. "And you? Are you seeking access to the main node?" "That is off limits," he stated. Lila replied, already moving toward his station. "If you don't isolate that loop in the next 60 seconds, your entire backup drive will start mimicking the infected string. When that occurs, you will not only forfeit your pristine version of the operating system, but the malware will start to alter your firewall logic. Subsequently, the breach extends to all partner servers linked to Braidek's ecosystem." Evan surveyed his surroundings with a sense of despair. No one intervened, no one halted her. In a flash, Leela tossed her backpack aside, unzipped it, and retrieved an ancient laptop. Its surface so marred, and adorned with stickers, that it seemed more suited for display in a museum. She attached a specially designed USB device to the side, then inserted it into the terminal. Her fingers danced across the keyboard, as if she were orchestrating a symphony that existed only in her mind. The screen was awash with lines of code. Certain portions were composed in Braidek's exclusive language. Lila had meticulously deconstructed it months prior, purely for her own amusement. Robert Jennings, her father, entered the room just as astonished breaths started to escape from the engineers nearby. He had been looking for her around the lobby area. "Lila," he said, a hint of confusion in his voice. "Not now, Dad," she replied, her gaze fixed elsewhere. "A virus has infiltrated your company's load balancer. I am tidying it up." Robert's eyelids fluttered momentarily. The man who had spent 7 years mopping floors at Braidek, whose daughter had always been overlooked by everyone in this building, now observed her take command of the room with unwavering confidence. A crowd formed, murmurs filling the air. Devices that once connected to emergency cyber teams were now focused on Lila, capturing every moment. Within the confines of the war room, Ethan Bray strode back and forth with intense agitation. The executives tossed around theories, hasty fixes, and accusations. Yet, everything seemed futile. Each moment was crucial. Suddenly the door swung open with a forceful crash. "Sir, you must come and see this," the assistant stuttered. At this moment, Ethan strode out, poised to dismiss someone immediately, until his gaze landed on it. His floor, once engulfed in turmoil, now lay in quietude, all attention focused on a single girl, her worn laptop in front of her. As she deftly manipulated a custom-built interface that was dynamically altering Braidek system protocols. "What is this all about?" Ethan insisted. Robert advanced with careful deliberation. "That is my daughter, Lila. She claims she is working on it. Who authorized her clearance?" Ethan let out a sharp bark. What if she complicates things further? Leela remained utterly composed. Her gaze remained fixed on the screen. "If I intended to exacerbate the situation, it would have crumbled by now. I find myself entrenched in the recursive loop. Could you please grant me just a couple more minutes? May I inquire about your identity?" Ethan inquired once more. At last, she raised her gaze. "I am an unexpected presence in your system's calculations. I still have more to say." With that, she pivoted her attention back to the screen before her. As the system logs started to illuminate in green, a series of vibrant status bars glowed across the main interface, reminiscent of a lifeline reviving a fading patient. Firewalls that had previously shown no activity were now beginning to regain stability. Data that was once ensnared in corrupted loops has started to arrange itself into clear, recoverable structures. A silence enveloped the entire Braidek operations floor. What a group of top-tier engineers struggled to accomplish in half an hour. A young girl with a makeshift laptop and no official credentials was executing in real time. With remarkable precision, speed, and an unsettling clarity. Ethan Bray remained. Still, his keen gaze locked onto the girl in the hoodie. His instincts urged him to step in, to request identification, to assert authority once more. Yet with each passing second, an undeniable truth became more apparent. She was resolving the company's most significant setback more swiftly than the entirety of his cyber division put together. He cast a quick look at his lead architect, who responded with a shake of his head, clearly taken aback. He muttered to himself, questioning how she could possibly engage with a system like this. She created something entirely unprecedented. "I told you," Robert said softly beside him. "Since the age of 10, she has been crafting machines. With nothing but a screwdriver and a coat hanger. She transformed our apartment's entire electrical system. Her school never regarded her with the seriousness she deserved, as she did not fit the expected image. Thus, she became her own teacher." The chief designer advanced with careful deliberation. "Pardon me, Leela, is that correct? May I inquire about the tool you are utilizing to connect with our mainframe?" Leela typed with unwavering focus. "Bespoke. Co-developed on a hybrid kernel. Your infrastructure depends on proprietary security measures built upon antiquated logic frameworks. I utilized what your system overlooked, embracing open systems that have the capacity to learn more rapidly." With a decisive tap, she executed the last command. The atmosphere grew utterly still. One by one, the screens throughout the building shifted. System integrity has been fully restored. Every threat has been effectively dealt with. The recursive loop has come to an end. A gradual, bewildered applause erupted. It started with one engineer, then another, until the whole room burst into applause, cheers, and astonishment. A few erupted in laughter, while others merely gazed in silence. A few even shed tears. What had just occurred was beyond comprehension. Was saved, not by a multi-million-dollar security company, not by a government expert, but by the daughter of a janitor, armed with a backpack full of spare parts, and a mind engineered for ingenuity. Leela rose from her seat, gently shut her laptop, and methodically tucked it away in her bag. She gazed at Ethan Bray, who remained motionless, arms folded, jaw clenched. "Your system is immaculate," she remarked. "It is advisable to address the vulnerability in the API layer located near port 3821. That's how the intrusion occurred." Ethan stepped forward, grappling with his words. His voice emerged with a raspy quality. How did you acquire that skill?" "For 7 years, my father dedicated himself to cleaning this building. I was raised with stories of Brettech. I immersed myself in every resource available to me. Your engineers discarded more wisdom in the trash than many individuals acquire throughout their entire college experience. I absorbed every word." She glanced at Robert and offered him a gentle smile. "How about we grab some lunch, Dad?" As she departed, the sound of her boots resonating on the marble floor, Ethan at last discovered his voice. "Hold on," he shouted. Leela halted her steps, yet she remained facing away. "What are you?" he inquired, his voice barely above a whisper. "Some sort of brilliance." She hesitated. "I am someone you never saw coming," she said softly then, without uttering another word, she exited through the front door, leaving half the building in stunned silence, uncertain if they had just seen a miracle, a clever trick, or the dawn of something far more significant. The sun had just begun its descent beneath the horizon when the lights in Braytek's boardroom flickered back to life. This time, there was a serene calm, devoid of alarms, chaos, or shouting. Only a profound, overwhelming tension. The air was heavy with skepticism and wounded pride. Ethan Bray positioned himself at the forefront of the table, his gaze fixed on the security footage flickering on the glass wall behind him. A girl in a dusty hoodie entered the operations floor, confidently typing commands as if she were the master of the system, swiftly addressing a breach that had almost brought their empire to its knees. "Someone must know who she truly is," Ethan murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. "We conducted a background check. Camille, his chief operations officer, stated Lila Jennings is 19 years old, without a college degree or work experience. She attended Tech Valley High, but left 2 years ago. In a cozy one-bedroom apartment. She shares her space with her father, Robert Jennings. That concludes everything. Ethan's jaw clenched. A young individual has just rescued a billion-dollar tech enterprise from impending disaster. Our gratitude extends far beyond mere words of thanks. Camille crossed her arms. In truth, we could be indebted to her for it all. Can you imagine the outcome if she hadn't isolated the recursive loop? Ethan remained silent. He was already aware. He had reviewed the simulation logs. The loop was crafted to integrate with Braytech's proprietary self-learning framework, which, if compromised, would have erased every backup stored across their worldwide nodes. Their encryption protocols would have collapsed. Customer data would have been at risk, and federal investigators would have arrived within hours. The organization could have slipped from the top spot to obscurity in the blink of an eye. He inhaled deeply, savoring the moment. "Bring her in," he commanded, his tone firm and unwavering. However, when they attempted to make contact, there was silence. Leela was unreachable to everyone. There were no records at her school indicating that she had come back. The number her father gave went directly to voicemail. She was gone without a trace. 2 days passed before Lila finally responded to the knock on her apartment door. She opened it slowly and discovered Camille Bray standing there, a folder clutched in her hands and an expression of discomfort that no amount of executive training could have equipped her to handle. "We would like to have a conversation with you," Camille said softly, face to face, in solitude. Leela moved aside, granting her entry. The apartment, though compact, was immaculate, resonating with the soft whir of bespoke machines lining the distant wall. Leela's workstation, with its trio of monitors, an elevated desk, and scattered circuit boards, resembled a NASA control center, miniaturized into a cozy living room. Camille surveyed her surroundings, a look of clear overwhelm crossing her face. "Did you create all of this?" Leela gave a slight nod. "With what I had the means to acquire." Camille set the folder down on the table. Within the envelope lay a contract, spanning 7 pages, its title prominently displayed in bold at the top. Braytech Special Projects Division. Position of Lead Developer. Ethan is inviting you to be part of our gathering. Complete mastery. Your very own team. Endless financial resources. The conditions you set forth. Leela arched an eyebrow. What is the reason behind this? Because you perceived something that eluded all of us. Your achievement surpasses what countless engineers have attempted and failed to accomplish. And because Braytech is determined to keep you from being drawn away by another. Leela turned the pages silently, her thoughts unspoken. After a brief pause, she shut the folder and raised her gaze. "What are my conditions?" "Absolutely." "You gave them names." She reclined in her chair, locking eyes with Camille, exuding a serene composure. "All right, however. I am not interested in a team that merely appears impressive on paper. I seek individuals who can tackle challenges head-on. I seek out those whose potential has been overlooked. Individuals who never received a vaccination." Camille paused for a moment, then gave a slight nod. "Agreed." Leela cast her gaze upon the contract again. She remained expressionless. With a graceful motion, she took a pen in hand and started to sign. Throughout the city, Braytech's destiny had just shifted once more. However, this time, it's not about code. In an instant, everything transformed with a single stroke of a pen. The elevator doors glided open, with a gentle chime, and Leela entered. The freshly updated floor of Braytech's innovation wing. It no longer resembled a technology firm. It appeared as though a fantasy had been meticulously reconstructed from the ground up. Concrete floors shimmered beneath glass panels inscribed with dynamic data flows. Floating interactive holograms illuminated the space, showcasing intricate, layered systems, live code, and comprehensive global firewall analytics. It was a sight beyond her previous experiences, and she had crafted the majority of it herself. The nameplate was unadorned. Leela Jennings, Leader, Unique Initiatives Department. What she had crafted in just 3 weeks was anything but straightforward. 16 engineers collaborated on modular pods, each selected by Leela herself. None of them possessed Ivy League degrees. One had worked as a mechanic, another had taught high school, and one was a dropout who created video games in his garage. Each and every one had been neglected. Each individual carried a weight of expectation. Leela strode across the floor with a serene assurance. The girl who once observed this company from the hallway, as her father polished floors, now led its most crucial division. However, not all were satisfied. At the executive level, murmurs had begun to circulate among the board. Inquiries had been made. What could have prompted Ethan Bray to hand over complete creative authority to a teenager? What was the rationale behind investing millions in unproven projects and unfamiliar talent? Why were competitors now hovering like predators, attempting to lure her team away with offers that were 3 times the amount? Ethan, for a change, remained quiet. He had reached a conclusion. 2 months had passed since the breach, when the second incident took place. This time, it's not a system crash. It's a calculated assault. A competing firm deployed a rogue AI prototype to orchestrate a calculated digital assault on Braytech's infrastructure. Their objective was unmistakable. Take Braytech offline, expose their shortcomings, and diminish investor confidence. Yet, Leela had been anticipating. As the breach unfolded, her system recognized a pattern that no existing protocol had ever pinpointed. A concealed synthetic signature embedded in the attack script. She had devoted countless restless nights crafting a strategy against this very danger. With a single command, her AI core, known as Spectre, initiated a counter-sequence. Rather than obstructing the assault, Spectre redirected it, reflecting it back to the assailants in a mirrored arrangement. It not only neutralized the breach, but also revealed the origin server, traced the source, and deposited the evidence straight into federal cybercrime archives. In a matter of moments, federal agents initiated an inquiry. Braytech was not merely secure, it had ascended to a realm of invulnerability. Ethan Bray found himself at the heart of the main hall as the news unfolded live on every business network. Observers hailed it as the pinnacle of cyber defense strategy in contemporary times. Leela, her eyes fixed on the feed from her terminal, turned to her team. Time to dive back into the tasks at hand. We are only beginning our journey. The team beamed, their screens aglow with fresh projects, innovative designs, and groundbreaking ideas far surpassing what anyone else in Silicon Valley could conceive. All around the world, businesses rushed to keep up with Braytech's speed, eager to grasp their latest hidden advantage. Yet it was neither a weapon nor a machine. There was a girl who had remained invisible, unheard, and unchosen, until she made the world take notice of her existence. Robert Jennings stood in the hallway, observing his daughter as she guided a room filled with brilliant minds, a tear glistening on his cheek. He had cleaned these floors quietly, never imagining that this building would someday echo with his daughter's name in hushed admiration. On that evening, Braytech revealed an important update. A new division is set to be launched, dedicated to uncovering and nurturing young talent from underrepresented communities. Leela would take the helm herself, with no need for a college degree or connections, just pure brilliance. The Janitor's daughter transformed everything, not through wealth or status, but with intellect, passion, and determination. And the world was left with no option but to match her pace.